Welcome everyone. Today we'll be looking at one of the game-changing quest bugs with the trial of Tianqiu, which is currently disabling a lot of players to play co-op, and we'll look at how this is happening and how to avoid this. We'll also look into some of the adventure level traps, with adventure level 55 as one of the biggest progression block, with over 8 times more experience required compared to the previous level. We're also looking into the early game adventure mistakes, mid game adventure mistakes, and also the late game adventure mistakes with spreading resource too thin and also ascending too quickly sometimes. In this video, we'll try to answer some of the questions with adventure level 55 and plus, and sometimes the questions with players with adventure level 35 or different stages of the game. We'll look into the adventure level system of the experience required, and also a lot of graphs and a lot of drop rate to help us to estimate what are the adventure levels and how those can be helpful. And what do we get by ascending in the adventure levels? Is it really dramatic, or do we get something that's very beneficial? For example, we can guarantee a golden item drop with adventure level 45. We're going to start this video by looking at one of the ongoing quest bugs with Trial of Tianqiu. Now, why do I say this is a quest bug? Is because during this particular quest, we cannot play co-op. And unless you finish the quest, there is no abandon function. And if we come to this post by its void, it's talking about how this quest is affecting a lot of the players. Because for those players who are not very strong with the quest, if you cannot defeat the monsters and finish all of the chain quest, then you cannot play co-op. Now if we look into the comments for this particular post, we can see a lot of players echoing the same concern, and currently I believe there are over thousands of players who are currently stuck in this problem. This was brought to my notice with Anthony over here on our Discord channel, so I got some recommendation with contents, and this was one of the concerns. Because what he's saying is, after adventure level 30 and plus, if we accept this quest, and then if you can't complete the quest because monsters gets really strong with adventure level 30 and plus, and this locks you out of co-op. This can lock players out of co-op for days and even weeks if you cannot complete the entire quest puzzle. And if we come to a video guide of this quest, so this one is by PonPon over here about the Trial of Tianqiu quest, what you do is you're going to start with the engine tablet. We can also see here with the wiki, to start this quest off, you come to the Tianqiu Valley and there are 3 pretty much buildings. With those buildings, if you start with the tablet, PonPon will prop and PonPon will be able to tell you, you have to do the quest and you have to solve 3 puzzles. Nothing seems to be warning us that if you can't solve the puzzles, then you cannot play co-op. So what's happening is, players will be trying to solve one of the time trials, and this time trial gets very difficult after the final floor. And in the final floor, the monsters gets extremely difficult because the players might be adventure level 30 and plus, and this is when players have trouble. Most of the players don't have trouble with the adventure level 20 floors because the world level is not too high. But as the world level difficulty increases, then this quest becomes almost undoable for players who are not ready for this. Now keep in mind, I'm not trying to say not do this quest, because this quest is one of the best quests with lots of loot. You can see here this is the exclusive chest, and over here as you fight the bandits, you're going to find yourself with 3 of the level 4 golden chest, so luxurious chest. So this quest is actually very rewarding if you can complete it. But the concern is, if you're not prepared with your adventure level, and if you're a little bit under-geared, this can lock you out of the co-op, because the time trials of defeating the monsters in 1 minute can be very difficult. Now currently there isn't a function to abandon the existing quest, so if you have decided to go for this quest, make sure you're accepting that you won't be able to play co-op once you start the quest. You have to clear 3 of the towers with different puzzles, and if you do so, you can get a lot of rewards. So keep in mind, make sure adventure level and world level is not too high when you complete the quest, or make sure you're strong enough. If your adventure level is 30 and plus, you should be strong enough because the monster get a lot harder. And because there are multiple stages, if you can't complete one of the stages, you will not be able to play co-op for the rest of the gameplay. Unless the developers change the abandon function into the game, you have to clear this puzzle to be able to progress. And this may take a few days or even a week for you to get strong enough to clear this quest. Now on the topic of adventure level difficulties and also adventure level traps, we're going to be looking at adventure level 55 as a massive progression block. This was actually shared by Demone over here. He is one of the Genshin YouTubers I follow. He talked about the truth about adventure level 55, and after researching around, I can see a lot of posts about adventure level 55, which needs a lot of experience. So I thought this is a good time to talk about this as well. So as you can see with the fandom wiki, we can see that adventure level 55 requires 232,000 experience. Compared to adventure level 54 to 55, it's only 36,000. So this is close to 8 times more experience required. And I did some basic calculation first, just so you know the value and how insanely this block is. So basically you can see the comparative difference of experience. Now currently it's going to take total adventure experience of 450,000 to get to adventure level 55, and it took me about 2.5 months to just get to adventure level 51. So currently I've earned about 320,000 experience, and as an estimation, it's going to take me 2 to 3 months from adventure level 55 to 56. Now you may be saying, hey, why should I be concerned? I'm still adventure level 30, 40 or even 50. You should be concerned because this actually shows us we shouldn't be rushing to get a lot of adventure experience. Because once you get to adventure level 55, you're not going anywhere for 2 to 3 months, and this is the current patch 1.1 progression block. Knowing that there is a progression block means we want to save the refills and also the federal reasons. The refills in the game, you can spend 50 primal gems and 100 primal gems to refill your reason for 60, and the federal reasons can be very useful for the patch 1.2 and farming for the new artifacts. So don't just use your reasons for the adventure experience, use them if you need them. And later on, we'll talk about the traps of federal reason and also other usage because of adventure levels. So for now guys, be aware, you do not want to rush for adventure level, because eventually, within 1 month or 2 months, you get to adventure level 55 and you'll be sitting on that for 2 to 3 months. Now I know what some of you might be thinking, isn't there a massive drop rate difference between the higher world level and that's why I want to get them to higher? Yes, and this is why we want to look at the drop rates and also loot for different world levels. Now if you guys remember earlier, I talked about looking at the comparison of rates for different world levels, just to know how much we're losing out if we're not rushing the adventure level. So what you can see from this post by NoSaltZone, so those are actually the crowdfunding estimations of the drop rates from the data gatherers for the Genshin Impact. Those are the volunteers who are actually sharing a lot of information from people posting their drop rates. So if you want to help out, definitely check it out. I'll have them in the description below. They give you all the rates for different dungeons and domains using all the players' founded resource. So coming to the rate table over here, what we can see is we want to get to world level 5 at least, because this actually increased the drop rate of the legendary artifact. This also slightly increased the drop rate of the ascension materials. Notice at world level 6, people start to get some of the higher grade of the 5-star golden ascension materials, but the rates are very low. And there isn't a massive difference from 5 to 6 to 7. You can see the rates over here, and what's happening is the difficulty of the monsters will dramatically increase, while the ascension materials won't increase that much. To be fair, we do get a higher artifact drop rate, but most of us are farming those monsters for the ascension materials, and because they don't change that much, then it's okay for us to not rush the world level too quickly. Because eventually we'll be stuck on adventure level 55, and there's no need for us to rush it right now. Now in order to look at the drop rates in more detail, let's come to this post by OldGaming24. So this one, he posts the common enemies from the world, and we look at the drop rates for world level 5 and 6. Those are the estimation of drop rates from his current loot, and it's actually pretty detailed if you guys want to have a quick look. So basically he talks about the drop rates and how many items is looted and how those works. So what I want to focus on is the drop rate of uncommon, rare and also epic items. Now with my higher world level difficulty experience with world level 7 at the moment, I kind of get the similar rates. I don't see a lot of purples, I see them pretty much 5% of the time. I do see about 20% of the time with the blues, and the commons are very common. You get multiples of those. And from my personal experience, the rates don't change that much from world level 5 to 6 or to 7. We do sometimes get the 3-star artifacts or 4-star artifacts randomly dropped from the monsters as well, but those are not very dramatic that we need to force adventure level too quickly just for the higher drop rates from the world monsters. Now if you haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so. Make sure you also turn the bell on for the latest news as I find more of them for us. You can see that we're really dedicated for Genshin Impact. We'll have builds, guides, tips, news and events updates for everything that's Genshin Impact related. Now because we're talking about the mistakes and also traps with adventure levels, it's important that we're aware there are early game mistakes, mid game mistakes and also late game mistakes with adventure levels. So let's have a quick look of what I mean by that. Firstly, with world level difficulty, we have to do the ascension quest at adventure level 25, 35, 45 and 50. You can see this in game with a tick over here, and each time we do those, this actually unlock the next level. If we don't do those quests, we actually can't progress with adventure level. So be stuck on 25, 35 if you don't go further with those quests. And this is when some of the new players coming to the game might experience the early game mistake with adventure level. Most of the players who hit adventure level 25 might not even realize that you have to ascend the world level by doing the ascension quest. Sometimes they don't do the ascension quest, they just keep playing the game, and there's two problems with this. One is that they were stuck on adventure level 25 for a long time, and then when they realize there's a quest, they will do the quest and they will get a sudden burst of adventure experience which been stored up, and this can effectively skip 1 to 2 world level difficulties. So what I mean by that is, a player might be playing for now and then they're sitting on level 25, and because they didn't know there's a quest over here, they're going to get a lot of experience, then they might skip to 30 or they might even skip to 35 right away. And because of that, some of the players are saying make sure do the Ascension quest, and this is important for the new players. Now there is also another very important reason to ascend yourself with early game, because you increase the availability of drops with the grades of the items. So if you come into the game, you can see monsters drop different grade of items, starting from uncommon, into blue, into purple. And if we do not ascend our adventure level quick enough in the early game, you'll be limited with only the green jobs, the blue jobs, and you won't be able to get the high grade jobs. And this can significantly lower our speed of progression in the mid game and also in the late game. Now coming to the mid game adventure level mistakes. This is when players didn't prepare enough resource for the character ascension and also the higher level skill talent requirement. Around adventure level 35, players would have unlocked a lot of the character ascension, weapon ascension, and also the need for skill ascension. You can see over here, my vessel currently is only unlocked to level 6 with Knight Rider. I'm still working on the attack and also the ultimate, which is not a big part for her, so I'm skipping on those. So at adventure level 35, what most players are going to find is, they don't have enough resource or they don't have enough federalism to do all of those things. Because the character need experience, they need Mora, they need a lot of weapon experience, they need to ascend their weapons for the ascension farm, they also need talent books. So what happens is, players will be using federalism and also Primogem refills too early. Now on top of this shortage of resource with everything that comes along with adventure level 35, some of the players might be going for early artifact sets. Mostly of the purple artifacts. This is because people want to get stronger gears and they might be farming for a particular set of artifacts. This may be spending too much federalism and also Primogem refills in the mid game. This is around adventure level 35, and if we come and have a look at the raid jobs for the artifacts, you can see that most of the players may be using the artifact with the level 3 and level 4 dungeons, which does not guarantee any of the golden artifacts. In fact, with level 3, we don't get any artifacts of golden tier. With level 4, it's about 40% for those, and ideally, players should be waiting for adventure level 45 with the 100% guarantee of a golden artifact drop. You spend the same reason, but the drop rate of artifact massively increased with adventure level 45. Now finally, we have the late game adventure level mistakes. Most of us will be around adventure level 40, 45 and 50. This is when we need to know that previously we want to ascend as quickly as we can with the early game to get higher grade of jobs, to get better loots. Now it's time for us to think about it. Do we want to ascend? Because we don't benefit that much from ascending anymore. So what I mean by that is, the character and weapon ascension actually does not unlock with adventure level 45. They unlock upon reaching adventure level 50. So we actually cannot ascend our characters to level 90 and weapon to level 90 with adventure level 45. Similarly, the weekly boss for Stone Terror and also Child unlocks with adventure level 45, and also the domains unlock with adventure level 45. So we don't need actually to ascend the world level for those benefits. There's a big difference, guys, between ascending the world level or hitting the adventure level. So let me try to explain to you guys what I mean by that. If we come to the lady over here, if we go to the adventure level rewards, we can see over here, if we hit adventure level 45, you automatically unlock the higher tier of the domains and also dungeons. You do not have to complete this ascension quest. By completing this ascension quest, your world level increases, but this does not, everything's already unlocked. Now simply by reaching the adventure level 45, we would have unlocked all of the domains for the artifacts and also for the talent books. We also would have unlocked the higher levels for the weekly bosses. We do not have to ascend the world level, and this is a big factor. Most people ascend the world level too quickly and then not prepared for this, and this can be a small or big difficulty spike with adventure level 45 and adventure level 50. Now you might be wondering, is there a downside for not ascending the world level? There is one, but not a massive one. The downside is we'll be having slightly lower rates from the wild monsters and also the world elite bosses. If we look back for the elite boss drop rate tables, we can see with world level 5 and 6, we don't get that massive drop rate boost, and similarly from 6 to 7. The drop rate increase is more for the artifacts, less for the essential materials for the elite bosses. So knowing that the drop rate does not change that massively if we just delay the world level ascension, what we can do is we can try to max level or max gear one or two of the main characters before we consider increase the world level. I'm not saying this is recommended for everyone. Of course, some of you may be strong enough to ascend right away. For me, I waited a few days with adventure level 45 and with adventure level 50. Now, one of the biggest mistakes some of the viewers are telling me is that spreading resource too thin with the endgame. What I mean by that is, if your character is a support character that's only here to cast spells or to heal, you should be aiming for a max level of level 70 with ascended characters, which also allows us to get the 3 free acquaintance phase with patron point 2. So you shouldn't be leveling characters beyond level 70 if they are supporting characters, and we should be investing on the main DPS characters first. Now you might be saying, hey, this is quite common knowledge, but with some of the visual aid we have available, so coming to this post by Risen Main over here, you can see that the resource cost to level 1 character from level 1 to level 50 is from this quarter, so basically it's about a quarter of the resource. Now if you're leveling a character from level 1 to level 70, you only cost about 40% of the total resource cost. And if we zoom in a little bit, what you're going to see is, if you're going to level one character to level 1 to level 80, it's going to cost about 60% of the resource. And finally, from level 80 to level 90, it's going to cost another 41%. There is also another factor. It's very, very costly, guys, to ascend the character from level 80 to level 90. So even with the resource over here, you can see that if we level the support characters from level 1 to level 70, it's actually much cheaper. And we'll only focus on one of the two of the characters to level 1 to level 80 or level 1 to level 90. And over here you can see I made a small summary for the characters and weapons. From level 70 to level 80, it costs 50% of the similar resource from level 1 to level 70. From level 80 to level 90, it costs over 100% or double the resource compared from level 1 to level 80. And there is also a huge cost with the character ascensions. If you haven't seen our previous videos, I'll show you guys just see how exactly costly it is with the character ascensions. You can see over here, I'm looking at my Venti, and if I were to ascend Venti, I would require 6 of the 5-star ascending materials, 20 of those, and everything else is still doable. But just those 6 items alone, those are 6 of the golden ones. This is 3 of the purple ones each. And just to get those 6 ascension materials, this will take me anywhere from 800 Risen to 1200 Risen. And this is actually very costly. So now knowing how costly it is in the late game to level each of the characters, we should be aware of the resource cost. We should also be aware of the artifact cost. We shouldn't be trying to get one character to the maximum level artifact unless those artifacts actually have the good substats. And also, we should be aiming for the entire party of level 12 and level 16 artifact first for the additional artifact substats. Every 4 levels, we get benefits on the substats. We could be working on level 20 after replacing most of the blue and purple artifacts. And knowing that there's 10% artifact transport rate, we can use the old artifacts to level the existing ones. I've had some of the viewers talking to me, he's got 1 or 2 of the really strong characters with level 20 artifacts, but everybody else is level 8 with artifact. And when he fights domains or dungeons, some of his weaker characters die too quickly for them to be useful. So it's better to balance a little bit, having most of the characters level 12 and 16 first, then go for the level 20 artifacts. This allows us to farm for different dungeons and effectively get more resource out of this. To summarize this video, I really wanted to touch up on this ongoing bug with this particular quest, which can disable a lot of the players from playing co-op. I also want to talk about the dangers of pushing too quickly with adventure level, which is going to hit a roadblock with adventure level 55. And now, because we have so many different players with new to the game, mid stage of the game, and also late stage of the game, I want to talk about all the mistakes with the early game, mid game, and also late game. I know this is quite a bit to go through, and I did try to squeeze everything together. Let me know what you think, guys, and if you find this helpful, I can make more similar guides to this one. Now, if you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe and also turn the little bell on for the latest news. I'll be looking towards to make more builds, guides, tips, and news and event updates for us as we come further into the game. And as always, I wish you guys the best of luck with Genshin and have the most fun in exploring